Marcus Hale looked out the window of his small Earth apartment and rubbed his temples. Retirement was supposed to be quiet, peaceful. But quiet made him restless. After decades as a sniper in the Human Defense Forces, he was used to action, danger, and the thrill of survival. Now the loudest sound he heard was the hum of the air purifier. He needed something different, something that would pull him out of the monotony. Scrolling through old galactic property auctions, Marcus's eyes caught a listing that made him pause. An abandoned alien laboratory on Xeron 6, a remote, rocky planet on the edge of explored space. The description was short: Kryn Research Facility, abandoned. Dangerous. Sold as is. Most bidders had ignored it. But to Marcus it felt like a challenge. He didn't care about warnings. He wanted to buy it. A place no one else wanted could be his private playground. The purchase process was quick. Marcus wired the credits and received the old, encrypted access codes. A week later he was on a small cargo shuttle heading to Xeron 6. The shuttle's engines roared and the stars streaked past. Marcus studied the holographic map of the planet. Mountains of jagged rock, dark craters, and a thin, gray atmosphere. Perfect. No neighbors, no regulations, no one to complain. He smirked. Maybe he would finally have some peace, and maybe discover something exciting along the way. When the shuttle landed on the barren surface, Marcus stepped out and immediately felt the chill. The wind carried dust and the faint smell of ozone, probably from old alien machinery still running somewhere in the lab. He tightened his jacket and looked at the facility. Rusted metal, broken panels, and tall towers of strange alien design. The Kryn had left in a hurry, judging by the scattered tools and cracked screens. The lab looked dead, but Marcus could feel a pulse under the surface, something hidden. He entered through the main door, using the codes to bypass the old locks. Inside, darkness greeted him. Dust swirled in the air, illuminated only by the weak light of his portable scanner. The walls were covered with strange symbols that seemed to shift when he looked at them from the corner of his eye. Marcus shivered. Years of fighting in human wars had prepared him for danger, but this felt different. Not alive in the way a human or animal is alive. This was alive in the way a machine might think it was alive. He moved carefully, inspecting room after room. Broken lab tables, shattered glass containers, and machines that seemed to hum faintly. One room had a strange blue liquid still bubbling in a cracked container. Another had a skeleton of an alien creature, twisted and long, frozen in a posture that looked like it was running even in death. Marcus's heart rate increased. He felt excitement and fear at the same time. This was the kind of adventure he had been craving, but he knew he had to stay alert. Marcus found a control room with a large holographic display still flickering faintly. Ancient alien code streamed across it in green light. He touched the screen and it reacted, opening a menu with categories like specimen archives, experiment logs, and containment units. His curiosity flared. He had no idea what he was touching, but he knew one thing. This place had secrets and he was about to find them. Outside, the wind howled through the broken towers. Marcus paused and glanced at the horizon. The planet was silent. Too silent. There were no birds, no creatures, nothing moving. Only the distant mountains and the dark craters staring back at him. He felt a flicker of unease. The lab was abandoned, yes, but for how long? And why had no one come back to it? He shook off the feeling and continued exploring. One corridor led to a stairwell descending into the depths of the lab. A faint hum grew louder as he went down. The air became colder and Marcus realized he could see his breath. The stairs ended at a heavy door with a lock unlike any he had seen before. Advanced alien technology. Marcus knelt, analyzing the lock with his scanner. Hours passed as he tried to decode it. Finally, with a hiss and a metallic click, the door slid open. Inside, the room was vast and dark. Rows of containers lined the walls, and faintly glowing panels cast strange shadows. Marcus could feel it. The room was important. Whatever was stored here was valuable, maybe dangerous. He ran his hand along the nearest container. Strange markings, symbols that seemed to writhe under his touch. He felt a shiver run down his spine. There was power here, hidden power. As he examined the room, Marcus felt a movement behind him. He spun, weapon in hand, but saw nothing. Just shadows. His pulse quickened. Years of sniper instincts told him something was watching. Not human. Not alive in the way he knew. Something alien, patient, maybe waiting. Marcus cursed under his breath but didn't back down. This was what he wanted. Danger, mystery, and the thrill of the unknown. He decided to spend the night in the lab even though part of him warned against it. Setting up a small portable camp in the control room, He ate a cold ration pack and studied the alien codes flickering on the screens. Each symbol seemed to tell a story he could almost understand. The hum of the machines became a strange lullaby. Sleep came slowly, with Marcus half watching the shadows, half dreaming of what he might find tomorrow. By morning, Marcus knew this lab would change his life. The abandoned Kryn facility was no longer just a building on a remote planet. It was a puzzle, a challenge, a secret waiting for him to uncover. As he stepped out into the cold gray light of Xeron 6, he felt alive in a way he hadn't felt in years. The purchase had been the easy part. The real adventure was only beginning. And deep in the shadows of the lab, something stirred. Something ancient, patient, and aware that Marcus Hale had arrived. Marcus woke to a strange low hum that vibrated through the floor. The cold gray light of Xeron 6 filtered through the cracked windows, making the shadows in the lab stretch and twist. He rubbed his eyes and scanned the control room. Nothing seemed wrong, yet the hum was different, almost like it was alive. Marcus had spent decades detecting threats in human wars, but this was not a sound he recognized. It was clever, patient, watching him. He finished his cold breakfast and started exploring the lower levels again. The stairwell he had opened yesterday led to a long corridor lined with doors that all had alien symbols. Marcus ran his scanner along the first few doors. Some were empty, some contained decayed machines, but one door reacted differently. When he approached, the symbols glowed faintly. His pulse quickened. He had found something important. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a large archive room. Rows of containers glowed with faint light, each etched with alien writing. Floating holographic screens hovered in the center, displaying images and numbers that moved too fast for a human eye to follow. Marcus stepped carefully inside. The air smelled faintly metallic, like old blood or machine oil. He could almost feel the history of this place pressing against him. He reached for one of the holographic screens and touched it. Alien symbols transformed into images of humans and aliens. Humans wearing strange suits, moving through alien corridors, eyes wide with fear or determination. Marcus's stomach tightened. He realized these were not just records. They were experiments. He scanned more, trying to make sense of the images. Some humans looked stronger than normal. Some were faster, some had glowing veins as if their DNA had been changed. Marcus's hands shook. The archives revealed that the Kryn had been experimenting on human DNA for centuries. Their goal was to create hybrid warriors, humans with alien strength and resilience. He saw logs of trials, failures, and successes. Holographic faces stared back at him, faces that could have been his ancestors. He felt an icy fear but also a strange fascination. Humanity had survived against impossible odds, but some of this survival had been engineered by the Kryn. He moved deeper into the room, scanning another hologram. This one showed a large chamber with humans in stasis, floating in fluid. Machines hummed around them, reading their brain activity and controlling their bodies. Marcus's heart pounded. These humans were alive, yet not fully awake. The Kryn had been testing their minds as well as their bodies, shaping consciousness, trying to make perfect soldiers. A noise made him jump. A drawer on one of the machines slid open slowly. Marcus grabbed his rifle, ready. Nothing emerged, just a thin wisp of mist that smelled faintly sweet. He frowned. The lab seemed to be reacting to his presence. Machines that were supposed to be dead were moving again, softly, like they were alive. Marcus had expected rust and silence, not this eerie intelligence. He examined a console that looked like a central control unit. Touching it, he activated more records. Reports filled the air. Descriptions of hybrids that had survived, hidden in unknown sectors of the galaxy. Some were considered dangerous, almost unstoppable. Marcus swallowed hard. If any of these hybrids were still alive, humans might not know about them, but the Kryn were watching, waiting, planning. The discovery was more terrifying than he had imagined. Marcus leaned against a wall, breathing heavily. He had come looking for adventure, maybe some old alien tech to tinker with. Instead, he had uncovered a secret that could shake the galaxy. Humanity had been part of something bigger, something dangerous. He realized that even in retirement he might be drawn back into conflict. The archives were not just records, they were warnings. He moved carefully, scanning more containers. One had a faint blue glow. He opened it and found a small device shaped like a cube, humming softly. When he touched it, images appeared in his mind, memories of battles, training, and humans fighting impossible odds. The device seemed to be some kind of memory storage, storing not just data but human experiences. Marcus realized that the Kryn had been studying not only physical traits, but also the human mind. Suddenly, a shadow moved in the corner of the room. Marcus swung his rifle toward it. Nothing appeared, but the air shimmered. He understood then, the lab itself was aware in some strange way. It was like walking through a living archive, where the machines could sense his curiosity and respond. The realization made him uneasy, but he was determined to continue. He could not leave now. The truth was too important. Marcus spent hours examining more holograms. He saw humans in alien landscapes, fighting creatures far stronger than themselves, adapting, surviving. The archives revealed victories that no history book mentioned. Humans were resilient in ways even the Kryn had underestimated. The idea made Marcus proud, but it also made him wary. The archives hinted at experiments that might still be active, hybrid humans or creatures waiting in the shadows of space. He decided to secure the most important records in his portable storage. The knowledge was too dangerous to leave exposed. As he worked, the hum in the room grew louder. He felt a strange presence, as if someone, or something, was watching from the shadows. Marcus tightened his grip on his rifle, scanning every corner. He was ready for whatever came next because he understood one thing. Discovery in this lab could be as deadly as a battlefield. By evening, Marcus stepped back into the control room. His mind raced with everything he had seen. The Kryn experiments, the hybrids, the memories stored in alien devices. It was overwhelming. But Marcus was a sniper, trained to focus under pressure, to take in information and act. He made a plan. He would study the archives, gather evidence, and figure out how to protect humanity from the Kryn's hidden reach. As he settled down for the night, Marcus could not shake the feeling that he was not alone. The shadows in the archive room seemed to move just slightly, almost like a heartbeat. He knew that whatever was left in the lab, machines, hybrids, or something stranger, was aware of him. And he was aware of it. A silent understanding passed between him and the unseen presence. The discovery had begun, and nothing would be the same again. Marcus looked out at the gray, lifeless horizon of Xeron 6. The planet seemed empty, but he knew better now. The lab held secrets that could terrify or empower humanity. And Marcus Hale, retired sniper turned reluctant explorer, had become the first human in centuries to uncover them. The adventure he had wanted so badly had arrived, and it carried danger, mystery, and the weight of a galaxy's forgotten history. Deep in the shadows of the lab, something watched him, patient, intelligent, and ancient. The discovery was only the beginning. Marcus woke to a strange vibration running through the floor of the lab. The low hum he had noticed yesterday had grown louder, almost like a heartbeat. He rubbed his eyes and looked around. The flickering lights cast long shadows across the walls. Marcus had faced danger in countless battles, but this felt different. The lab was alive in a way he had never experienced. Something was waiting, watching, aware of him. He grabbed his rifle and carefully descended to the lower levels, heading toward the archive room. The corridors seemed darker today. Dust rose in little clouds as he moved, disturbed by his boots. The symbols on the walls flickered faintly, responding to his presence. Marcus's instincts screamed caution. He had discovered secrets yesterday, but he did not yet understand their full danger. When he reached the archive room, the hum was deafening. The containers glowed brighter than before. Holographic screens hovered in the air, showing flashes of images too fast for him to comprehend at first. Then he noticed movement among the containers. One of them, in the far corner, shifted slightly. Marcus tensed. He raised his rifle and approached slowly, every step measured, eyes scanning for threats. The container's lid slid open with a hiss. Inside was a figure, slumped over and motionless. At first, Marcus thought it was another alien corpse like the skeleton he had seen before. But then the figure stirred. Its chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. Marcus froze. The being inside had faintly human features, eyes that reflected intelligence, a face shaped like a human's, but the body was elongated and alien. The skin shimmered faintly, like it held energy inside. The creature's eyes opened and glowed with pale light. Marcus's heart pounded. He had seen hybrid experiments in the archives, but he had never expected to encounter one alive. The creature did not move aggressively. Instead, it looked at him, studying him. Then, almost impossibly, a voice echoed in his mind. Not through his ears, but directly in his thoughts. "Do not be afraid. They made me like you, but not like you." Marcus staggered back, his rifle trembling in his hands. Telepathy? He had trained for countless unknowns, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. He steadied himself and spoke aloud. Who are you?" The creature did not answer verbally. Instead, it raised a hand, small pulses of light emanating from its palm. Images filled Marcus's mind, visions of experiments, humans in stasis, alien technology controlling minds, the Kryn monitoring every step. The revelation hit him hard. The Kryn had not only changed human bodies, they had altered minds, tried to control thought, shape consciousness, and create warriors. Marcus had seen fragments of it in the archives, but now he felt it, saw it, understood it. This creature was a living record of the experiments, part human, part Kryn design. He could not turn away. He had to learn more. As he studied the hybrid, the room shifted. Machines hummed and lights blinked in sequence. The containers along the walls glowed, and Marcus realized the lab itself was reacting. It was aware that something significant was happening. He could almost feel the intelligence behind the machines, analyzing him, judging him. Marcus swallowed hard. This lab was not just a building. It was a guardian of secrets, a trap, and possibly a weapon. The creature moved toward him slowly, tentatively, as if testing trust. Marcus lowered his rifle slightly. He had fought enemies he could see and touch, but here, he faced something alive and intelligent in ways that no human had encountered before. The hybrid's voice entered his mind again. They will come for me. For you. You must be careful. The archives are not just history, they are a warning. Marcus nodded, though the creature could not see him. He realized he needed a plan. The Kryn had hidden dangerous secrets in this lab, and if the hybrid was still alive, that meant something else might be alive too. Hidden in the depths, waiting. He needed to secure the lab, understand the hybrid, and prevent anyone from using these experiments for harm. Hours passed as he moved carefully around the room, scanning more containers, interacting with the holograms, and taking notes. He learned that some hybrids had survived the Kryn's original experiments and were scattered across the galaxy, in places humans could not reach. Some were pacified, some were dangerous. Marcus felt a chill. If any were still active, humans were unprepared. Yet he also felt a spark of hope. The hybrid before him had human traits, courage, intelligence, and curiosity. Perhaps humanity could reclaim some control. The hum of the machines grew louder again. Marcus glanced around. The shadows seemed to move with intent. It was as if the lab was aware of his every thought, testing his reactions, judging whether he was a threat or an ally. He realized the truth. Exploring this lab was not just about discovery. Survival was now part of the challenge. Every decision he made mattered. The hybrid communicated images again, memories of humans in stasis, soldiers trained in alien strength, and battles where humans adapted and survived. Marcus felt a surge of pride mixed with fear. Humans were resilient, and perhaps that resilience had always been their secret. But the Kryn had underestimated them, and even centuries later, humanity might still have the edge if they could learn from these archives. Suddenly, a loud metallic clang echoed from the far end of the room. Marcus swung his rifle and saw one of the smaller containers shaking violently. He moved closer, careful not to provoke whatever was inside. The container split open and a thin, glowing mist floated into the air. The hybrid flinched slightly but did not attack. Marcus realized that not all the lab's contents were stable. Some experiments were volatile, dangerous even after decades of abandonment. He made a decision. He would not take unnecessary risks. He would study the hybrid first, understand it, and use its knowledge to navigate the lab safely. He began mapping the room, taking notes on the glowing containers, the holographic records, and the strange phenomena occurring around him. Each discovery brought more questions. Each shadow seemed to hold a secret. By nightfall, Marcus settled in the control room, the hybrid nearby, its eyes glowing faintly. He felt a strange connection forming, a silent understanding between human and hybrid. They were both survivors, both aware that the Kryn had tried to manipulate their existence. Together they could explore the lab safely, but Marcus knew the awakening had just begun. Deep in the lower levels, other containers shifted. Machines hummed in anticipation. The lab, aware and intelligent, had registered his presence fully now. Marcus understood that this was no ordinary discovery. This was a living warning, a test, and perhaps the start of something that could change humanity forever. As he drifted to a fitful sleep, Marcus felt both fear and excitement. The archives were alive, the hybrid was awake, and the lab was watching. Tomorrow the real exploration would begin, and with it, the danger, mystery, and revelations waiting for a retired sniper who had thought he had left battles behind. Marcus woke to a sharp vibration running through the lab floor. The hum from the machines had grown into a low roar. Something was approaching. He jumped to his feet, rifle in hand, eyes scanning the dark corridors. The hybrid beside him stirred, its faintly glowing eyes fixed on the far door. Marcus felt a cold knot in his stomach. He had guessed that exploring the Kryn lab would bring danger, but he had not expected company so soon. Outside the lab, a shadow passed across the gray light of Xeron 6. Marcus rushed to the control room and activated the planetary sensors. His heart sank. A Kryn scout ship was in orbit, sleek and menacing, scanning the surface of the planet. The lab had activated a signal when he had awakened the hybrid, and now the Kryn knew someone was here. Marcus cursed under his breath. He was a retired sniper with no army, facing an advanced alien force. Survival meant strategy, cunning, and patience. He turned to the hybrid. It floated slightly above the floor, glowing faintly. They will take the archives. They will take me. You must stop them, it telepathically warned. Marcus nodded. He understood the stakes. If the Kryn recovered the lab, the experiments, and the hybrid, humanity could be in danger. He had to defend the lab no matter the odds. Marcus surveyed the lab for potential defenses. Broken machinery, energy conduits, and alien traps lined the corridors. He realized he could use them. He rigged power lines to trigger short circuits, blocking doors and creating electric traps. He repositioned some of the old surveillance drones that were still functional. Marcus worked quickly, moving silently through the shadows, careful not to alert the Kryn scanners outside. The hybrid followed, its glowing eyes observing his every move. The scout ship began lowering its landing craft. Marcus felt a chill. He had to act fast. Using old sniper tactics, he positioned himself on the upper balcony of the lab, overlooking the main landing zone. He watched as Kryn soldiers descended from the craft. Their armor shimmered with alien technology, and they carried weapons he had never seen before. Marcus took a deep breath, steadied his aim, and fired. His shots were precise, taking out the first wave before they even realized where the fire came from. The Kryn reacted quickly. They advanced carefully, scanning every corner, avoiding obvious traps. Marcus used the lab's layout to his advantage, drawing them into corridors wired with makeshift electric traps. Sparks flew as soldiers fell back or stumbled. The hybrid assisted silently, manipulating small machines to create distractions. Doors slamming, lights flickering, panels sparking. Together, Marcus and the hybrid created confusion, giving them the upper hand despite being outnumbered. Hours passed in a tense standoff. Marcus realized that the Kryn were trying to access the central archive, where the most dangerous experiments were recorded. If they succeeded, the galaxy could face disasters beyond imagination. He needed a plan to stop them from reaching the core. He studied the lab systems quickly. A containment field could trap the intruders, but activating it required precise timing and coordination. Marcus moved to the central console, the hybrid hovering beside him. "We must act now," it said in his mind. He pulled levers, tapped holographic panels, and rerouted power to the containment system. Outside, the Kryn soldiers advanced, unaware of the trap. Marcus held his breath as the final sequence activated. A dome of energy expanded from the lab, encasing the intruders. Sparks and sirens filled the air. The Kryn were trapped, unable to move, unable to retreat. Marcus exhaled slowly. He had defended the lab, but the danger was not over. The scout ship still hovered above, capable of calling reinforcements. He knew it was only a matter of time before more Kryn forces arrived. He turned to the hybrid. "We need to secure the archives and get ready to move," he said. The hybrid nodded, glowing brighter as it interfaced with the lab systems, helping Marcus extract the most critical data. As they worked, Marcus realized the full scope of what they were dealing with. The Kryn experiments were not just physical. They involved intelligence, strategy, and control over hybrid soldiers. The lab itself seemed almost alive, assisting him in defending it. Marcus felt a mix of fear and respect. This place was dangerous, but it was also powerful, if humans could learn from it. By evening, Marcus had secured the key archives and set up additional traps for any reinforcements. He looked out at the gray horizon of Xeron 6. The scout ship remained in orbit, but the initial wave of soldiers had been neutralized. He knew it was only a temporary victory. The Kryn would return, stronger and smarter. But Marcus also knew he had proven something. Human ingenuity and courage could match even advanced alien technology. The hybrid floated near him, its eyes dimming as it rested. "We have delayed them," it said. "But they will return." Marcus nodded. He had faced countless threats in his life, but nothing like this. This was not a battlefield with simple rules. It was a puzzle, a living archive, and an enemy that could adapt. He would need every skill he had learned as a sniper, and more, to survive what was coming. Marcus spent the night preparing. He studied the lab's layout, reinforced key corridors, and created escape routes. The hybrid shared knowledge of the Kryn's weaknesses, showing him patterns in their behavior. Together they planned for the next attack. Marcus felt a strange sense of purpose. Retirement had ended the moment he arrived on Xeron 6. Now he was not just defending a building. He was protecting knowledge, life, and perhaps humanity itself. As he lay down for a few hours of rest, Marcus felt the hum of the lab all around him. The machines, the archives, even the hybrid seemed aware, watching, preparing. Outside, Xeron 6 was quiet again, but Marcus knew it was only temporary. The Kryn threat was far from over. Tomorrow would bring more challenges and he would be ready. Deep in orbit, the scout ship's commander observed the lab, calculating, planning. They had underestimated the human. They had underestimated the hybrid. Marcus had survived the first wave, but the Kryn were patient. They always were. The battle for the lab and for the secrets it held was far from finished. Marcus Hale, retired sniper turned reluctant guardian, stared at the dim horizon. He knew one truth: the archives were alive, the Kryn were coming, and he could not fail. Humanity's future, and perhaps the hybrids, depended on what he did next. The threat had returned, but so had the human resolve. And Marcus intended to fight with everything he had. Marcus woke to the gray light of Xeron 6 and felt the weight of the past days pressing on him. The lab was quiet, but he knew it would not stay that way. The Kryn scout ship had returned, circling the planet, scanning for any signs of life or activity. Marcus checked the archives one last time, confirming that the most critical information had been secured. If humanity could access this, it could prepare for threats no one else even knew existed. He turned to the hybrid. Its faint glow pulsed with energy like a heartbeat. "We have delayed them," it said. "But the Kryn will return with more force." Marcus nodded. He had fought humans, aliens, and creatures he could barely understand, but this was different. He was not only fighting to survive, he was fighting to protect knowledge, to give humanity an edge in the galaxy. Marcus spent the morning setting traps and reinforcing the lab. Broken machinery was wired to electrical pulses, panels were rigged to collapse corridors, and holographic decoys were positioned to confuse intruders. Every preparation reminded him of his sniper days, where planning, patience, and precision determined life or death. The hybrid assisted, guiding his hands and showing him the weak points in the Kryn technology. By midday, the first signs of the new Kryn attack appeared. Drones descended from orbit, scanning the terrain with beams of light. Marcus ducked behind a reinforced console, observing their patterns. He noticed that the drones relied heavily on sensors, reacting to heat and movement. Using shadows and low-level energy pulses, he was able to make parts of the lab appear empty, luring the drones into traps. Hours passed in tense silence. Then the main Kryn force began to land. Marcus's pulse quickened, but his hands were steady. He took careful shots, disabling vehicles and forcing the aliens into corridors rigged to slow them down. The hybrid moved alongside him, using its abilities to manipulate machines and create distractions. Together they were a perfect team. Humans and hybrids, united against a common threat, each complementing the other's strength. As the battle intensified, Marcus realized the Kryn had underestimated him. They expected a small resistance, perhaps an abandoned lab with nothing but dust and rust. Instead, they faced a strategic mind, years of sniper experience, and a hybrid that understood both human and alien technology. One by one, the Kryn soldiers fell into traps, were slowed by collapses, or disabled by precise shots. Marcus felt a surge of confidence. Humanity had adapted once again. The hybrid floated to the central archive room, connecting to the systems and downloading critical information onto portable drives. Marcus covered it, firing carefully at any alien that approached. They moved as one, synchronized without words, a quiet understanding forming between them. Marcus realized that the Kryn had not accounted for human adaptability, creativity, and courage. Even their most advanced technology could be countered with strategy and intelligence. After hours of fighting, the Kryn force began to retreat. Marcus watched as their ships lifted off, their soldiers regrouping. The hybrid turned to him, glowing brighter than before. "You have won this battle," it said. "But the war is far from over. Humanity now has the knowledge to fight, to survive, to protect itself." Marcus nodded. He felt a strange pride, not just for himself but for humanity as a whole. They had faced a threat they did not fully understand and survived. They had adapted. Marcus spent the next few days stabilizing the lab and securing the archives. He transmitted the critical data to human space authorities, making sure they understood the Kryn threat and the hidden resilience of human biology. The information was enough to prepare humans for future conflicts and to remind them that they had qualities the Kryn had never fully measured: adaptability, courage, and ingenuity. He and the hybrid explored deeper parts of the lab that had been untouched. They discovered more records of experiments, machines that could enhance human capabilities, and warnings left by the Kryn themselves. Marcus understood that humanity's edge was not in raw strength or numbers, but in intelligence, creativity, and the ability to think under pressure. This knowledge, combined with the hybrid's insights, could give humans an advantage in the galaxy that the Kryn had never anticipated. As Marcus prepared to leave Xeron 6, he looked back at the lab one last time. Broken, old, and dangerous as it was, it had revealed something vital. Humans were capable of surviving and thriving against overwhelming odds. The hybrid hovered beside him, its glow dimming to a steady pulse. "You have given humanity a gift," it said. "Knowledge and hope. That is stronger than any weapon." Marcus smiled. Retirement had been boring, quiet, and safe. But he had found purpose again, not through battle alone, but through discovery, strategy, and courage. Humans were not just survivors. They were adaptable, intelligent, and capable of turning even the most terrifying threats into opportunities. The Kryn had created experiments, but humans had created resilience. As the shuttle lifted off from Xeron 6, Marcus watched the gray planet fade beneath him. He thought about the battles fought, the discoveries made, and the knowledge now in human hands. He realized that even a retired sniper could play a role in shaping the future. Humanity had gained an edge quietly without fanfare by surviving, learning, and adapting. Back on Earth, Marcus shared the archives with scientists and strategists. The data revealed the hidden potential in human DNA and human minds. Humanity was no longer unaware of the galaxy's dangers. They now had the knowledge to prepare, to fight, and to protect themselves against species far stronger and more advanced than they had ever imagined. Marcus returned to his quiet apartment, but he no longer felt restless. He had faced aliens, uncovered dangerous secrets, and helped humanity gain an advantage. The hybrid had returned to deeper parts of the galaxy, carrying its knowledge to other beings, but Marcus knew their paths might cross again. Humanity's edge was no longer hidden. The Kryn might return one day, but Marcus was confident that humans with courage, intelligence, and determination could face anything. He sat back watching the stars, feeling a quiet pride. Humanity had survived centuries of experiments, faced threats beyond comprehension, and now, armed with knowledge and resilience, they were ready to shape the galaxy on their own terms. And somewhere in the shadows of Xeron 6, the lab remained, quiet, alive, holding secrets for those brave enough to discover them. Marcus smiled, knowing he had played a part in the quiet victory of humanity. It was not a loud victory, not one for songs or monuments, but it was real. And for humanity that was enough.